Okay, so ratings so far the transfer signing. So we'll start with Spurs. Number one, Perisic,
10 over 10.
10 over 10.
10 over 10. Knows the
Oh,
manager, knows the system very well. Seasoned pro, experienced professional. I'll be very surprised if that transfer goes 10 over 10. I think it's going to be a very good signing.
okay. Richarlison,
Charlton, I'm not sure what his role is going to be. I don't know if he's even going to start games. Unless, of course, he's going to. I don't know because Kulusevski had a very solid season last season. So I expect him to start. Son and Kane, that was a very formidable front team. So I don't know if he's going to destabilize that by putting Richarlison in. And so for that, it's not a slight on Richarlison's quality as a player, but just his role in the team and where he fits in, it's something I have a bit of an issue with. So I think with that, I'll take 5 over 10. I don't know.
okay.
He's a good player, but I don't know how he fits into it.
Okay, so Bissouma,
I know he's good, but I don't think he's that good. So I don't think he's going to really. When you talk about signings, some signings elevate teams to a different level. I don't think he's going to be that player who take them to a whole new level. But I think he's going to be very solid. And so I'd say 9 over 10. But he's going to be very solid. He just deliver really what he's supposed to deliver. Solid signing.
okay, Lenglet,
I think that's a very good signing. One time I mentioned why top clubs were not interested in him. I know his last season or two were not very good, but I think he showed a lot of promise when he came into the Barca team initially, and I was very surprised why top clubs were not after him. I think that's going to be a signing that might surprise us because he's very good on the ball. Very good on the ball. Defensively, maybe he's not that great, but he's very good on the ball. And with the way Spurs are going to be playing with a 3-back, I think if you have Mero, who's proven to be very good, I mean, it hurts me that we didn't sign that boy. Mero is so good. So good. We should have gotten him, but anyway. So I think Lenglet is going to really balance out that back three because he's a really ball-playing centre-back. And they've lacked that for a while. So, solid sign. I think 10 over 10.
okay, so Liverpool, Fabio Carvalho,
Fabio Carvalho, very good young player, skillful. But I think Jojo alluded to the fact earlier on in our discussion that he's a playmaker basically, and he's a bit in the mood of Odegaard. Not very athletic, just very smart and very nice touches. So I struggle to see where he fits into the team if Liverpool are playing the way they're going to be playing like we saw last season. So I don't know where I stand on that one because he's not going to be somebody who's going to be playing on the flanks. And so I don't know, but maybe Klopp has a vision for maybe he's going to convert him into maybe a long-term replacement for Salah or something. And so that is a signing I struggle to rate it, but based on his talent, I'll say 7 over 10.
okay, Nunes,
I mean, should we ask? I mean, that's for the fact that he's there, like he's a human being and he's there like a 1. But that's about it. That's
1 over 10.
I think he's actually 1 over 10. I think he's going to take Liverpool back. I mean, you see sometimes the way Van Dijk likes to ping these long balls forward and then they'll control them quickly there in your box. I'm just struggling to see how Nunes is going to control those balls. I mean, it's going to be a sight to behold.
Okay.
Terrible signing.
Okay. Calvin Ramsey,
I've heard good things about him, read very good things. He's a solid pro, nothing spectacular. I think that's something Liverpool have been doing in the past where they just sign players who are solid and then they try to improve them. So I think it's going to be good. I don't think he's going to get a lot of game time because he's still so very young. And they still have Joe Gomez on their books who can't really get games only as a right back, even though he's a centre back by trade. So I think we're not going to be seeing much of him. But for the future, I think he's a good signing. Another 7 over 10, I think.
Okay.
I think Liverpool's transfer window has been very under par.
Okay, and lastly, Salah's contract renewal. Yeah.
Massive, massive, massive. Most important thing they could have done this transfer window. I think, especially with after the loss of money, getting Salah to sign was crucial. I think money's departure played a part in it because I don't think Liverpool were going to offer him the money that he's on now. But I think with money leaving, one, it freed up some funds, and secondly, I think they can't lose money and Salah in the same transfer window. That would have been catastrophic.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that signing is very important. And it keeps other teams scared of Liverpool. I mean, if they had lost Salah, I think they would have gone back like 10 years. So I think that's the most important business they've done this window. So very, very, very good thing to happen to them.
Okay.
I wish he had left to Real Madrid or something, but the football side is very good. Very good for the league as well.
Okay. So Man City, Haaland.
Man City, Haaland, 9/10. I would have given it a 10, but I don't trust Haaland's ball playing ability, and I think it's going to take away from City's overall aesthetic. You know, for the past season, if you said to watch City play, you expect some champagne football, and I think Haaland is going to take a bit away from it because he's not going to be so involved. But I think he's going to be clinical. He's going to bring in a lot of goals, and for that alone, I think that signing makes sense. And so a 9, solid 9, yeah.
Calvin Phillips.
Calvin Phillips, solid signing. I for him as a player, I think it was a wrong move because I think he's going to be on the bench a lot of times, and I think at the stage of his career, he should have moved to a club where he'll be starting most times. I think a club like Arsenal. I know he couldn't have moved to United because of the whole thing with Leeds, but at least Arsenal or another club of that level would have been very good for him. I mean, especially to cement his place in the England national team. I think moving to City, you're going to win trophies, but I think he's not going to be as involved as he would have been at another club. So for him as a player, I don't think it's a good move. But for the team, City, I mean, the depth is crazy. And I think with the departure of Fernandinho, they needed that backup for Rodri. And so for them, it's a good signing. I think it's a 9/10. But for Phillips as a player, I think it wasn't.
Okay, so lastly, Arsenal. So with Arsenal, they have Fabio, they have Jesus, and who else?
Marquinhos.
Yes. So with those signings, how do you rate them?
Jesus, 10/10. I love that guy. I love his application. He's not very clinical, but he never stops trying. That's one thing that, I mean, if Marshall had an attitude like that, United he'll be so good. You know, he keeps trying, even when things are against him. Sometimes he's having a very poor game, but he never stops running, he never stops trying. And I think it's going to be good for Arsenal, especially with the way they like to press. I think it's going to be very good for their front line. So that's a 10/10 signing.
Okay.
Very solid, knows the league, solid signing, very good signing.
Okay.
Marquinhos and Fabio Vieira are very unknown quantities, especially with Marquinhos. Fabio Vieira, I've watched a bit of. Marquinhos, I've only seen videos on YouTube, and I don't think you can really make a solid judgment based on that. So I'm not really going to go into Marquinhos as a signing, I think. But Fabio Vieira, I mean, obviously, he's going to play backup to Odegaard. And so maybe the lesser games or when Odegaard is out of the team. So I think for depth alone, that's a good signing. I think it's an 8/10. Because Arsenal, they do need the depth.